What happens when the world's biggest pop star walks onto daytime television expecting a friendly chat, and instead finds herself face to face with a host who pushes one question too far? Before we dive into this unbelievable confrontation, make sure you subscribe to Stage View, hit the like button, and comment to boost the story so more people see it. Now, let's step inside the moment everything went off the rails. The studio lights of The View burned brighter than usual that morning, like they sensed the storm coming. The audience buzzed as the producers whispered urgently through their headsets. Taylor Swift hadn't even appeared on stage yet, but everyone could feel that familiar electricity she brought into any room. Backstage, a makeup artist dabbed the final shimmer across her cheekbones, but Taylor wasn't smiling. She was thinking. Thinking about the questions she'd been told she'd face. Thinking about the calm, respectful conversation she expected. Thinking that this would be simple. She had no idea. The theme music hit. The cameras rolled. The co-hosts, Whoopi, Sunny, Alyssa, Sarah, and Joy, settled into their seats as applause flooded the room like a tidal wave. Joy Behar leaned forward with that wry smirk she was known for, tapping her stack of blue cards against the table. She looked ready, too ready. "And please welcome," Whoopi announced, "the one, the only, Taylor Swift." Taylor stepped onto the stage, smiling like a professional, gracious as always. She waved to the crowd as they rose to their feet, cheering so loudly the floor trembled. She took her seat between Sarah and Sunny, smoothing her skirt, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. She didn't notice Joy staring already, sizing her up like she was waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. "Taylor," Sarah began warmly, "you've had a massive year. The Eras Tour, the movie, the awards, everything. How are you feeling?" Taylor exhaled softly, finally letting her shoulders loosen. "Grateful. Honestly, that's the word. It's been overwhelming in the best way. I feel like every day I wake up and have to ask myself if all this is even real." The audience chuckled gently. She smiled. But Joy didn't. Not even a twitch. Sunny asked a few thoughtful questions about songwriting, about advocacy, about the emotional weight of performing night after night. Taylor answered with ease, drifting into stories that pulled the audience in like a warm blanket. Everything felt smooth, controlled, almost soothing. Then Joy cleared her throat into her microphone. "So, Taylor," she said, glancing at her cards with exaggerated casualness, "I'm curious about something your fans may not love." Instantly, the air changed. A ripple went through the crowd, a faint shift in the co-host's posture. Taylor's smile faltered, only slightly. Sarah shot Joy a quick look. "Not now." Joy continued anyway. "You've been everywhere lately. Concerts, red carpets, football games." She paused just long enough for the implication to bite. "Do you think there's a point where it's too much? Like maybe you're overexposed?" Half the audience gasped. The other half went dead silent. Taylor blinked. Her fingers curled slowly around the edge of the table. Joy leaned back, satisfied with the tension she'd just injected into the room. "Well," Taylor said carefully, "I think being visible isn't the same as being overexposed. I show up for my fans. I show up for my work. I'm proud of that." Joy nodded, unimpressed. "Sure. But isn't it possible that the constant attention might annoy people? Or distract from other things happening in the world?" Sarah's eyes widened. "Joy." No, Joy cut her off. "I'm asking what people are thinking." Taylor breathed in quietly through her nose. "I don't force people to watch me. I'm not demanding anyone's attention. I live my life. I perform. I create. And I hope people take what they want from it." It was the kind of answer that usually diffused tension. But Joy wasn't done. She hummed, squinting at Taylor as if trying to see right through her. "What about the criticism that your presence at NFL games is, let's say, overshadowing the athletes?" There it was. The question Taylor had been told wouldn't be asked. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Taylor sat up straighter. "I go to support someone I care about. The cameras choosing to film me isn't something I control." "Right, but you do realize," Joy pressed, "that some people think it's too much. That you're too much." Taylor exhaled, not shaky, not weak, but steady. Grounded. A sound of a woman preparing her words with precision. "If someone thinks I'm too much," she said quietly, "maybe they're not used to seeing a woman live without apologizing for her success." The audience erupted. Applause, cheers, gasps. Joy stiffened like she hadn't expected Taylor to fire back. Sarah's mouth fell open. Whoopi raised her eyebrows so high they practically touched her hairline. Joy didn't smile this time. She leaned forward again, voice sharp. So you're saying your critics are sexist? I'm saying, Taylor replied, locking eyes with her, that if someone is bothered by me simply existing in public, maybe the problem isn't me. The applause grew even louder. Some audience members stood. A few even shouted her name. The studio was shaking under the noise. Joy wasn't letting it go. Oh, come on, she snapped. Everyone gets criticized. You're not immune. You can't play the victim every time someone questions your choices. Taylor froze, not hurt, but stunned by the bluntness. By the charge hidden in Joy's tone. By the insinuation that she was somehow playing a role instead of being honest. I don't see myself as a victim, Taylor said slowly. But I won't pretend that double standards don't exist. I won't pretend that scrutiny isn't harsher for women. I won't sugarcoat that to make anyone more comfortable. Joy opened her mouth again. But Taylor's voice cut through the room with sudden, startling clarity. And I won't apologize, she said, for living my life boldly. A collective "oh" rolled through the audience. The kind that comes before a real fallout. For the first time since the segment began, Joy looked genuinely rattled. The stage lights felt hotter. The air felt thinner. Even the cameras seemed to zoom in instinctively, sensing something seismic unfolding in real time. Taylor Swift wasn't retreating. She was rising. And the moment she did, the line between a simple talk show interview and an unforgettable confrontation shattered, leaving everyone on set wondering what Joy Behar would dare to say next, and whether Taylor would let her. The silence didn't last long, not on a stage like this. Not in a moment so tense it felt like the oxygen itself was bracing for impact. Joy Behar's lips pressed into a thin line as Taylor Swift's words lingered in the air like sparks after an electrical short. The audience wasn't just reacting anymore. They were hanging on, waiting, leaning forward as if gravity itself had shifted toward the table. Taylor didn't look away. She didn't break her composure. There was something in her eyes now. Resolve, steel, a quiet fire that came from years of navigating public scrutiny sharper than any interview question. Joy recognized it, and for a moment her expression faltered. But she wasn't backing down either. Well, Joy said, tapping her pen against the table, that's a very poetic answer. Conveniently poetic, I might add. A ripple of murmurs spread through the audience. Sarah's jaw clenched. Taylor responded with a level tone. Poetry is kind of my job. But the convenience is only for people who want to pretend these issues don't exist. Joy cocked her head. So, what? You're some kind of spokesperson now. For women? For fairness? For whatever movement is trending this week. Sarah shot her a warning look. Joy, stop. But Joy's eyes stayed locked on Taylor. Taylor didn't flinch. I don't speak for everyone. I speak from my experience. That's all any of us can do. Oh, please, Joy said, waving her hand. You're not just speaking from experience. You influence the entire culture. Millions of people hang onto your every word. And sometimes, some might say, you use that influence a little selectively. Taylor sat back, stunned but steady. What does that mean? Joy leaned in. You know exactly what it means. No one breathed. Sunny broke in gently. Joy, maybe we can pivot. No, Joy said sharply. Let's be honest here. Taylor, you've built a reputation on empowerment, but you choose your causes carefully. You speak up when it benefits your image. When the timing is perfect. When it's safe. The air in the studio snapped like a stretched wire. Taylor swallowed once. Not because she was afraid, but because she was weighing her message. Her truth. Her temperature was steady, but her pulse was awake, ready. That's a serious accusation, Taylor said softly. It's an observation, Joy countered. Taylor shook her head. No, it's an assumption. And a wrong one. I don't speak to be applauded. I speak when I believe something matters. Joy crossed her arms. Conveniently. Honestly, Taylor said, voice low and steady. It's exhausting being told that whatever I do, however I show up, it's somehow wrong. Too much? Too political. Not enough. Too silent. I've lived in this double bind for years. The audience murmured in solidarity. Joy wasn't done. Then maybe, Joy said with a shrug, you should stop caring so much about how people see you. Taylor blinked. I don't care about being liked. I care about being understood. And those aren't the same thing. That line hit the room like a storm. A wave of applause thundered up from the crowd. The stage lights shimmered against the glossy desk as Joy's face hardened. But she pushed again. Look, I'm not trying to tear you down, Joy said, though her tone said otherwise. I'm just saying that with the influence you have, you should expect the heat. Taylor nodded once. I do. Every day. So don't be surprised when someone questions you. I'm not surprised, Taylor said. I'm disappointed. Joy's expression cracked, genuine shock flashing briefly in her eyes. Taylor continued. I came here because I respect this show. I respect the conversations you have. But when someone twists genuine intention into manipulation or performance, that isn't a conversation. That's provocation. A few audience members gasped. Others clapped, unsure whether they were supposed to. The energy had shifted again, this time into something deeper, heavier. Not just confrontation, but something personal. And I won't sit here and let you imply, Taylor added, that I only speak when it benefits me. You don't know what I don't say. You don't know what I face. You don't know the things I choose to handle privately to protect the people I love. Joy was about to respond, but Taylor wasn't finished. You see the spotlight, she said, and you assume it makes things easier. But the brighter the spotlight, the longer the shadows. A stunned hush swept across the crowd. Joy's jaw clenched. You're very dramatic. Taylor's lips curved, an unmistakably sharp smile. I write songs for a living, Joy. Drama is kind of my brand. Laughter erupted, cutting the tension for a split second. Even Whoopi smiled. But Joy leaned forward again, eyes narrowed. Fine. Let's talk about something concrete then. The NFL thing. The audience groaned. Sarah literally closed her eyes like she was begging the universe for patience. Joy went on. Some fans are saying your appearances are overshadowing the sport. That it's becoming the Taylor show whenever you're in the stands. Do you take responsibility for turning football into a spectacle centered around you? Taylor's smile disappeared. Do I take responsibility, she said slowly, for showing up to support my partner? Joy didn't blink. Yes. Taylor let out a sound, half laugh, half disbelief. You're blaming me for camera operators choosing to film me? Joy shrugged. You're a public figure. You know how it works. Taylor leaned in then, not aggressively, but with a softness so sharp it cut. You know what's interesting, Joy? When male actors attend games to support their partners, nobody says they're hijacking the sport. Nobody says they're too visible. Nobody says they're a distraction. A few audience members shouted exactly. Taylor continued, her voice rising with conviction. But when it's a woman, especially a successful one, it suddenly becomes a problem. Suddenly it's overexposure. Suddenly it's too much. Joy's face twitched, but she held her ground. So it's all sexism again. Not all, Taylor said. But enough. Joy slapped her cards lightly on the table. You really think people can't criticize you without it being rooted in sexism? Of course they can, Taylor said. But you didn't ask a criticism. You implied intent. You implied manipulation. That's not harmless. Sarah jumped in then, unable to hold back any longer. Joy, she's right. There's a difference between asking tough questions and assigning motives. Joy turned on Sarah. I'm doing my job. And I'm answering, Taylor said firmly. The audience roared again. But this time, Taylor didn't feed off the energy. She stayed locked, steady, centered, unwavering. Joy looked at her like she was searching for a crack. A falter. A stumble. Instead, she found fire. Taylor said quietly, I'm not here to be palatable, Joy. I'm here to be honest. A hush swept the studio. Even the cameras seemed to hold still. Joy straightened her cards, frustrated. Fine. Then be honest. Do you think all the attention you get is always earned? A collective gasp filled the air. Taylor let the silence breathe before responding. I think, she said, voice like ice warming into steel, that I've spent my whole adult life working harder than people realize to earn everything I have. And if someone still can't see it, that's their blindness. Not my burden. The crowd exploded. Some stood. Some cheered her name. Even Whoopi tapped the table in approval. But Joy's eyes hardened into something deeper. Something sharper. And as she opened her mouth again, ready to push the confrontation into dangerous new territory, the producers' voices crackled frantically through the co-hosts' earpieces. They had no idea what was coming next. They just knew they were losing control. And the moment that realization hit, the interview shifted yet again, into something raw, unpredictable, and moments away from turning into the most unforgettable clash daytime TV had seen in years. The producers' voices buzzed urgently in the co-hosts' earpieces, but Joy Behar didn't even twitch. She had locked onto Taylor Swift like a spotlight searching for heat, for weakness, for anything she could twist into a headline. The studio audience sensed it too. The shift, the acceleration, the sudden feeling that this wasn't an interview anymore. It was a collision course. Taylor sat still, her hands folded loosely in her lap, but her posture was stronger now. No shrinking, no softening, no attempt to water down her answers to keep the peace. She had stepped fully into the moment, and the moment was growing darker by the second. Whoopi glanced toward the control booth, eyebrows raised as if she was silently asking, "Do we cut to commercial?" But Joy leaned forward before anyone could intervene. "Taylor," she said, voice crisp and pointed. "The thing people keep bringing up, and what I'm trying to get at, is accountability. You get praise, awards, attention, but do you ever step back and wonder whether the scale of your influence is excessive?" Gasps echoed across the studio. Sarah sat ramrod straight, eyes flashing. Taylor's gaze didn't waver. "Influence isn't something I force on anyone. It's something people choose to give." Joy smirked. "Is that what you think? Or is that what your PR team tells you?" A stunned murmur rippled through the crowd. Taylor inhaled sharply, her jaw tightening for the first time. "My PR team doesn't script my beliefs." "Oh, come on," Joy snapped. "Everything you say is calculated." Taylor's voice grew cold. "That's a lazy accusation." "Is it?" Joy challenged. Taylor leaned in, her eyes suddenly blazing. "Yes, because if it was all calculation, if every single breath I took had to be rehearsed or approved, I wouldn't have survived in this industry. People would see right through it. Genuine connection can't be faked at that scale." Joy laughed under her breath, but it had no humor. "Genuine? Really?" Taylor didn't miss a beat. "Yes, genuine. The millions of people who come to my shows, who wait in line for days. They don't do that because someone calculated a message for them. They do it because something real resonates. Something honest. Or," Joy countered, "because you've built a brand so powerful that people feel obligated to like you." Taylor blinked. Not in disbelief, but in disbelief that Joy would go there. Sarah couldn't stay silent anymore. "Joy, that's unfair." Joy turned her head sharply. "I'm asking a question." "No," Taylor said suddenly, her voice soft but forceful. "You're planting a narrative. There's a difference." The audience erupted. Applause rattled the stage. Someone in the front row shouted, "Tell her, Taylor." A few even booed at Joy. Joy's eyes widened, momentarily startled by the crowd turning on her, but she didn't back down. Not even for a heartbeat. "Fine," Joy fired back. "Then let me ask you something simple. When you show up at football games, when you post politically, when you call for your fans to take action, are you aware of the sway you have? Are you aware that you could drive millions of people in one direction with a single sentence?" Taylor's nostrils flared slightly. "Emotion, yes, but controlled." "Of course I'm aware," she said. "Anyone with influence should be aware. And that's why I choose my moments carefully, not for optics, but for impact." Joy pounced. "So you do curate your image." Taylor almost laughed. "Everyone with a platform curates what they share. Including you, Joy." A few people clapped again, sharper this time. Taylor continued. "But I don't curate to manipulate. I curate to communicate. I share what I believe is meaningful, not what's marketable." Joy squinted. "So you're saying you don't think about how things will make you look?" Taylor held her gaze evenly. "I think about what is right, not how it'll be received." The audience roared. The noise filled the studio like a rising tide. But Joy wasn't satisfied. She wanted the moment that broke Taylor. She wanted the crack. She wanted the clip. "So," Joy said, drawing out the word, "if you care so much about doing the right thing, where was this energy 5 years ago? 10 years ago? When you were quiet on issues people expected you to speak about? When you stayed neutral?" The audience hushed. Even the air stilled. Taylor's eyes flickered with something deep, something unspoken. A long shadow from her past. "There it is," Joy said under her breath. "That's what people want to know." Taylor's shoulders rose with a breath, slow, heavy, steady. She held Joy's stare, refusing to look away, refusing to be cornered by a version of herself she'd already outgrown. "You want honesty?" Taylor said, voice quieter now, almost trembling with sincerity. "Fine. I'll give it to you." The set went silent. "I was afraid," she said. Joy blinked, thrown off. "Afraid?" "Yes," Taylor said. "I grew up in an industry where speaking up could end your career, where your opinions could be used against you, where being nice meant staying out of trouble. And I bought into it. I believed that silence kept me safe." She glanced briefly at the audience, just enough to include them in her vulnerability. "But silence doesn't protect you," she whispered. It just isolates you. And I learned that the hard way.